turn back the time and let you know to come home. Kiss you, so you come home. Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. on Spruce Street, made me smile like Gucci sweet. I bet I could get her number sometime. She was just standing there as I walked away. I should have said hi. I thought to myself, oh, you're way better than the one before. Got a lot from just looking at her eyes, and I can't stop, can't get her off my mind. Oh, so, oh, if I look back, will I ever forget those eyes? Yeah. City is too bright at night. I need to get away, think I need some time, 'cause she's on my mind. And I know this time I fell too hard, too fast, maybe a bit too far. First kiss is always right. Yeah, I think I fell for a stranger. Yeah. Go home, look up on the gram, trying to guess her name, but no luck there, so I move on back. Go back to the place we met. Can I guess? Pretty sure I'm hopeless. Yeah. Oh, way better than the one before. Got a lot from just looking at her eyes, and I can't stop, can't get her off my mind. Oh, so, oh, if I look back, will I ever forget those eyes? Yeah. City is too bright at night. I need to get away, think I need some time, 'cause she's on my mind. And I know this time I fell too hard, too fast, maybe a bit too far. First kiss is always right. Yeah, I think I fell for a stranger. Yeah.
Hey. Cool. So, oh, this is possible. Cool. Great. I suppose in on that. Okay. instant need to try and remember exactly where I was. Investigated thoroughly, but I can't find anything out of place. Sorry, I'm right here. Why? Oh, good. I thought I might have climbed into the wardrobe when I wasn't looking. There's no place like home. Believe me, I have some strange compulsion to jump inside every wardrobe I see. You know. Well, anyway. I'm not sure anyone could fit inside this one. You sure about that? It's full of beautiful outfits. I suppose real stage costumes. I was rather hoping we'd find Miss Pavola's friend hiding in there, but no such luck. Afraid not. There's one of these next to the bed in Kazuma's cabin, too. Yes, it's bell cord. Can't resist. You barely hesitated there. Gave it a good tug, too. Nope, I didn't actually expect anyone to come. No, I didn't either. You don't want them to. We're trying to investigate in secret. Exactly, you tell her. All the books have toppled over together. Look, every single one. You think that's the god of sea, perhaps? Toppled too. He's toppled too, though. It's exactly the same as the bookcase next door, in Kazuma's cabin. Perhaps Miss Pavola was practicing a difficult ballet pose and fell against the bookcase. I don't know. Would she really be practicing ballet on the night she ran away from her ballet company? True. Alright then. It must have been you. You lost your temper and knocked him all over in a fit of rage. Not everything bad happens on the ship because of me, you know. Jeez. I love this game, it's so witty. Well, anyway. I'll set them all straight again here too. I don't like seeing things in disarray. Miss Pavola's case is open. It's completely empty inside, but according to the great detective's great deduction, he was hiding her special friend in there. Yes, friend she has to keep secret, because you're not allowed to bring animals on board the SS Berea. I wonder what kind of animal she had in there. And more to the point, where it is now. I wonder what this little saucer is doing on the floor. Yes, it doesn't look like it's been dropped. More like it was put there deliberately. Ah, you think? You think there could be a leak in the roof just here? What? A leak? Is this ship quite safe? I'm sure that even if there is a little leak in the roof, doesn't mean the whole ship's gonna sink. No, you're right. Of course you're right. Really trying to persuade herself, isn't she? She doesn't trust us. She still doesn't trust us. Even though we've just done a great herlock shell deduction. There were just a few books on the desk. Nothing else. I've looked about. Well, Miss Buffalo only ran to the ballet last night. She's hardly occupied the cabin at all at this time. That's true. I wonder what kind of books she likes to read. Let me see. Yes, I see. I would see Miss Pavola enjoys reading books written in Russian. Thanks. I think I probably already knew that. It's rude to ask too much of people in the Naruto-san. Kindly remember that. Ah yes, they displayed in the cabin. They're displayed in this cabin too. Look, yes, Buria's rules of passage. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are also strictly forbidden. And that's why. Her special friend, I mean. I wonder where her friend has disappeared to now. Oh. He's probably having fun exploring the ship, I imagine. I just hope Seaman Stroganoff doesn't find it and throw it overboard. Oh yeah. So do I. I haven't seen this teapot is empty. So the natural conclusion is that Russians are very thirsty people. Or because Miss Prevost only came into this cabin last night, she hasn't had a chance to make any tea yet. I mean, could be either. It's definitely that they're excessively thirsty. I'd lay 1,000 to 1 on it. You're rather obstinate, aren't you, Naruto-san? Oh, the Russians are very thirsty people.
You're thirsty for my vodka.
Suppose every cabin has a waste paper basket. Can we have a little look through and see what's been thrown away? Oh, do let's. Naruto-san. It's poor etiquette to go ciphering through someone's rubbish, you know. Ugh, those eyes. Looking at me like I'm a piece of rubbish now. However, these are special circumstances. Yeah. I think. Exactly. We got no choice. Oh, we've been ruined. No, I don't like this. There's hardly anything in here at all. Oh, well, that's a little disappointing. All that, we got nothing from it. Have a gander in here. But this ventilator connects to Kazuna's cabin next door. Yes, although what a fool the shipbuilder must be to open a ventilator into another room. Ah, maybe. It's so that if there's a gas leak next door, the occupant of this cabin would notice and raise the alarm. Or the occupants of both cabins would die of gas poisoning. That's a possibility. Anyway, last night, Kazuma wrote that he saw a speckled band coming out of this ventilator. I love how she's like so morbid, and then I'm just here like, I'm the optimist, and she's just like, oh yeah, maybe not. This cabin door has the same simple sort of bolted latch that our cabin door has. If the bolt's drawn across, there's no way anyone could have entered the cabin from outside. Yes, it's not a particularly heavy-duty bolt, is it? But still, it wouldn't slide across of its own accord, would it? No. And the door's made of metal, so there's no chance of trickery using magnets to unbolt it from the outside. And it seals up perfectly too, to stop any seawater coming in. So you can use any method you told me of passing a thread through a crack around a closed door either. You seem to know a lot of tricks for opening doors. I'm starting to see why they suspect me. But we were in the room. I think we've got everything there is to investigate. It really is such a beautiful colour, this glass. It looks like whatever it was has broken clean in two. But the other half is nowhere to be seen. And then there's a brick-coloured mark, which is polish according to that great detective you seem to know all about. I suppose it must be from Kazuma's shoes. Maybe. But what I'd like to know is, how can the detective be so sure it's shoe polish and not something else? Because he's a great detective, of course. That's hardly a reason, is it? True. Never question the great detective. There's gotta be something else. There's nothing else. Nothing else there. Ah, there we go. She's telling us to investigate more here. Oh, here he is. Here he is. Best character. Oh, it's Mr. Sholmes. Look. Wow, you never know when he's gonna turn up next, do you? He seems to be stealing a look at something as he sings to himself. I did it the great detective way. He's still singing. Do you think he hasn't noticed us? Or he's simply in extremely high spirits? Yes, there were times, I'm sure you knew. The yard a bit off more than it could chew. And through it all, when there was doubt, it's lucky herlock was about. Excuse me? I solved it all and stood tall. I did it the great detective way. Mr. Sholmes! Does he want to fight? Honestly, interrupting a fellow when he's singing, and I just kind of about reached a climactic finish. Sorry, I thought you were never going to stop, so I figured now was as good as time as any. I very nearly dropped to the floor with one of my famous right hooks. Alright, I get the picture. Could you put those fists away now? He's literally the best character. Mr. Sholmes, you seem to be examining something before we interrupted you.
Yes, that. I was immersed in the study of this ship's logs, penned by the stockily built crewman who usually is on guard here.
Oh yeah, the ship's log. And did you find out anything useful from it?
Well, after 2 AM this morning, the majority of the entries are blank. Which means there was nothing to report. Nothing of note happened, so... Oh, you truly are a student from a land of the rising sun. You've been utterly blinded by it.
Sorry? Your logic, my boy, is inverted. Whatever do you mean, Mr. Sholmes?
Observe the other pages, and all shall become clear. It would seem the same crewman off stands sentry in the first-class passageway. And he has an almost religious practice of recording. Nothing to report. Every half hour. Oh, he
writes that in every 30 minutes? Nothing to report.
Precisely. But simply, the seaman writes nothing to report when there is just that. And yet...
The ship's log from last night is largely blank. He didn't even write nothing to report. Do you mean...
Yes, there were circumstances afoot last night, which led to the seaman being absent from his post.
What kind of circumstances? What happened?
That remains a mystery for now. But we can be sure something significant took place. So significant that it caused the seaman to forget his regular habit of scribing nothing to report in the log. These are important details. I would stake my life on it. You must log the ship's log in your mental file.
You mean my court record? Now that deduction was worthy of a great detective. You're starting to understand my way is, I see. What my way is, I see.
What makes Sholmes brilliant. Oh, ouch.
What is it? Are you hurt?
Oh, don't worry yourself. I seem to be afflicted with a throbbing head this morning for some reason, nothing more. Oh, my friends, until our next encounter.
He's still singing to himself. I can hear it when he wanders off down the passageway. something wrong, Suzuto? You seem lost in thought. It's just, well, I feel the same. Sorry? Ever since I woke up this morning, I've had something of a headache. A sort of continuous throbbing. Oh, you too? Anything in here? Ah, what's that? Shut down the engine.
Shut down the engines immediately. Vessel sighted the quarter-mile 4. Full stop, hull starboard. All hands brace for impact.
What the? I think we're about to crash into another ship. Overturning. Are you alright? Are you injured at all? I think I'm fine. Thank you, Naruhodo-san. Are you sure there's no more damage than that? Come on. Looks like we avoided a collision. I think. The ship's come to a stop. Are you hurt? No, I'm fine. Hello? Is anyone in there? Shout if you need assistance. Oh, that sounds like Inspector Hasanaga. Are you in there, Naruhodo-san? Unbolt the door, quick! What? The bolt? Look at that. The door's bolted. Did you do that, Suzuto-san? No, I didn't touch it. Well, that's strange. How did... And look at the books. They're just like they were before again. Naruhodo-san, aren't you going to open the door and let the inspector in? Oh, this explains everything. I better tidy this place up. Well, Violent Emergency Stop has solved one mystery at least, in a very vivid way. But I know what awaited for us on the other side of the cabin door would not be pleasant. I hurried around tidying up the cabin with a new sense of foreboding in my heart. Basically, the things crashed, and they did that last night. After Kazuma was killed, which is how the door was bolted shut. Miss Pavola's cabin. Somehow the door to the cabin we were in ended up bolted after we made an emergency stop. Suzuto took a deep breath and gently slid back the bolt.
You! What are you doing in Miss Pavola's quarters?
Ah, you both look unhurt. Good. Yeah, we're fine, thank you. I don't know what happened. We heard something about how we were going to collide with another ship.
Yes, it appears to have been a false report, though.
Oh? How did that happen?
There's a dense fog outside, so it's extremely difficult to see. Someone must have thought he saw a ship ahead. The person obviously triggered the alarm, and that's why we made an emergency stop. Everything is chaos. Passengers are screaming, crew is running everywhere. This first class area is the only quiet part of the ship at the moment.
Oh, I see. Someone triggered the alarm? That mean someone pressed that button outside? You wicked intruder, dressed in all black. You are the devil. Sorry, me? I've been called a lot of things before, but devil is the first. You opened my traveling case. How could you? What? No, we didn't touch it. That's right, Miss Bavola. It was already open when we came into your cabin. Inspector.
Yes.
Arrest this man. I know he did it. He is a criminal. It's not enough that he has killed a man.
Ah, and he is stowaway as well. If vixens promise not to steal chicken, do you believe?
Take him away. He's a trespasser as well as everything else.
Stowing away, trespassing, killing. He is right. You are devil.
It doesn't look good, does it?
There is cell below deck. Throw him in. Tomorrow we dock in Hong Kong. Then we give you straight to place.
Wait, a cell? Please, Inspector Hasagnaga, is there nothing you can do?
This is a Russian vessel. I really have no jurisdiction here. After my last effort to appeal to the captain's good nature, I think I'm out of options.
This is terrible. This is a real quiet crisis. I gotta find a solution. Immediately. What are you doing there? What the? What are you doing up there? Mr. Sholmes. Naturally, as I was analyzing what a weight of 20,000 rubles would feel like on one's head. I've not told you that as a detective it is my business to know what other people do not. This isn't mere tomfoolery, my boy. Oh, no. Well, why were you hanging from the hook before that? Isn't it obvious? To properly assess the weight of 20,000 rubles, naturally. I wish to determine that if it would bet... What? I wished to determine if it would bend that compensated looking hook on the wall, a bag full of brag and bounce. I never know whether to take this man seriously or not. No, that's the beauty of him.
Ah, you again. You great detective.
Ah, Inspector.
I confess I've been looking for you. I have something to report to you most urgently.
Well,
you might try looking for me somewhere other than a hook on the wall next time. What is the report? Speak. An urgent report from the great detective can mean but one thing. Yes. The case of the curious murder that took place last night here on this vessel, the steamship Buria, has been solved. By me, naturally.
what? Really?
Yes. I've eliminated all of the possibilities. No other explanations exist. So, allow me to illuminate all your minds. I am about to reveal my great detective's greatly admired great deduction to this case.
Oh, do we get to do this again?
Ah, you have solved it. Even Hedgehog understands this case. We all know who is responsible for killing Student Boy this morning when we found criminal in wardrobe. It is the stowaway, and he has handcuffs to prove it.
I didn't do it.
Trouble is, there doesn't appear to be anyone else who could have killed the victim. Because everyone knows the cabin door was bolted shut from the inside. That means the culprit must have been someone who was inside the cabin.
Yes. It's what's called a locked room mystery in detective stories.
Ah, locked room. That is point.
The room was locked. Well, I can't deny that. There's no way this bolt could have been drawn across from the outside of the cabin.
You are all quite mistaken. The cabin next door is not a so-called lock room mystery at all.
What?
Oh yes, there is another entrance. An entrance used last night by the culprit in order to gain access to the cabin despite the bolted door.
What other entrance?
We never discovered one. Why, it gapes open-mouthed at you even as we speak. The ventilator. Man.
The ventilator?
You think this is funny? I cannot even put my arm through that hole.
That's because your arms are as thick as tree trunks. You're suggesting that the culprit entered and left the victim's cabin through that tiny opening. That is not possible.
Ah, but it is. And last night, the victim even witnessed the intruder in the act of passing through the ventilator.
Mr. Sholmes, do you mean you are referring to the words Casimir wrote in his diary? I can hear a faint whistling sound. And it's what looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill.
Precisely, my dear madam. But what does it mean? What is this speckled band? The answer to that particular conundrum? Very cabin.
Mr. Sholmes? What are you doing?
There is a distinct element of danger, but fear not, I am ready. What I'm about to expose for you all to see will shock you to your cores. Behold.
What the?
Allow me to introduce you all to the band. The speckled band.
A snake?
Indubitably.
Mr. Sholmes? Just one thing?
Pray, what troubles you?
Well, that snake isn't really speckled, is it? It looks more stripy, wouldn't you say? Yeah, you're right. I think in this case you have to call it A striped band.
Ah, you both see and observe with distinction. However, do you not think that is precisely the trap into which the culprit wishes you to fall?
Oh my goodness, really? It's a trap? How exactly?
I think it is perhaps time that I explain the intricacies of my train of thought. Are you ready, Miss Prevost?
I'm sorry for the young man that has died, but that is all. His death has nothing to do with me. The whole thing has nothing to do with me.
There are two conclusions I have drawn from the facts. Number one, last night, your friend infiltrated the victim's cabin. And number two, that same friend was responsible for the victim losing his life.
No. He turned as white as a bowl of rice again. Holmes must be right. He's hit the nail right on the head.
Young woman's friend killed Miss Dascoy.
It looks like he can't speak with that snake coiled around his head.
I would advise a little movement as possible, Seaman. You wouldn't want the fangs of that long friend in your neck. So everyone, let us begin. Herlock Sholmes is proud to present his logic and reasoning spectacular.
Ooh, here we go again. I love these. The Great Deduction. Intruder's identity.
Miss Pivola, moments ago you claimed the following. Death was nothing to do with me. The whole thing has nothing to do with me. Yet, you cannot deceive yourself. Yes, when you recall these horrid events, your aching heart smarts with pain. It is that very pain that evidences your inextricable link to the victim's death. We ask, what was the nature of this intruder that stole into the victim's cabin on that victorious night? Why, naturally, it was the friend with which you boarded this vessel, was it not? Ah, as I suspected, another telltale glance. Without doubt, your friend is the rivering serpent we see before us. And yet, that fact leaves us in a quandary. The victim's written observations of the night in question tell us of a speckled band, whereas, regrettably, this specimen's markings do not fit that description in any way. What explanation could we give then, pray? What was this sight that fell upon the victim's eyes last night?
No, don't look at me. This has nothing to do with any of this.
Oh, but it does. You have the answer to this quandary even now, hidden behind your back. Yes, that which you are trying but failing to conceal can only be the snake's slowed skin. Evidently, after the disturbing and horrible crime, this most deadly friend of yours had its original skin, no?
I don't know what you're talking about. Last night, with the ventilator visible in this cabin, your then speckled friend slithered next door. And using the bell cord on the other side of the bridge, the serpent silently descended into the victim's quarters. In the dim light, it appeared the young gentleman who was about to lose his life as a speckled band. In summary, the nature of this friend of yours, which last night infiltrated the scene of the crime, is a rare breed of snake whose markings change each time it slows its skin. A snake so dreadful we can only imagine what would be found in the deepest depths of India. A blood-speckled snake. How Mr. Asgard died.
Moving on, we come to the heart of the matter, the grim demise of the victim. How did this young man lose his life, and why? According to the data which I have been appraised, it would appear that there's no visible signs of injury. In fact, the circumstances of this victim's death can only be explained by a terrible venom. Now, if we take that as fact, we can reasonably imagine that there remains evidence to affirm it at the scene of the crime.
No, there be.
Yes, an examination of the deceased body would prove the cause of death conclusively. The almost but not quite imperceptible puncture wounds left by a venomous fang. The venomous fangs will seal the truth. Yes, the vestiges of the snake bite delivered by your terrifying friend.
This makes no sense.
There is no point feigning ignorance, Miss Bravola. After the incident, you endeavored to hide everything, didn't you? But now your involuntary glances betrays the hiding place you chose. That's right, you hid the evidence that links you in the victim's death in that traveling case. When we first met in this cabin, it came to my attention that the case had moved periodically. Your serpent assassin was restless inside, no doubt.
You don't?
It is telling that the victim made note of such whistling, such a low whistling sound, that he heard minutes before his end. That was your signal, was it? The sound you had used to train your serpent friend.
Right.
Indeed, you put the serpent through the ventilator and wait. Your period, you summon it back with a whistle. You couldn't know if the animal had done its duty. You would listen for signs of life next door. If the victim appeared to have not been dispatched, you'd release the snake once more. Do you deny this snake has undergone such training?
Not true.
Having slithered through the ventilator and down the bell cord, the creature needed only to sink his fangs in once. And the venom would course through the victim's veins, ending his existence forever. That is the true nature of the speckled band that took this young man's life. There can be no doubt, my logic is infallible.
Death by venomous snake bite.
Thus concludes herlock sholmes' great deduction of the speckled band. Miss Bevola has trained her pet snake as a killing machine. There on the floor you will observe a saucer of milk. The promise of food is the key to training any creature.
Incredible. You've solved the mystery.
Amazing. Your great deduction really lives up to its name. Now I see why herlock sholmes has become such a household name. My dear man, it was nothing remarkable. As the Russians say, I could have done it with one left hand.
I could venture an opinion, Mr. Sholmes.
But of course, what's on your mind?
It's just about your deductions before. Some things don't quite make sense to me.
I welcome all questions as to my method, and I will answer both loudly and proudly.
Oh, well, good. First of all, snakes are egg-laying creatures, part of the reptile family.
You are well informed, madam.
And reptiles don't drink milk.
Ah,
It's really only mammals that like to drink milk, you see. And I'm not sure it would be possible to train a snake using milk as a reward.
no matter, no doubt. Miss Bevola used some other treat to encourage her pet to do her bidding. Milk was merely an example. The logic holds.
Well, there's something else. Snakes have no ears.
Ah,
Yes, so I'm not really sure if it would be possible to signal a snake by whistling.
but madam, what are the tales from Arabia? Have you not heard of the snakes that dance to the sounds of a flute?
I think perhaps the performers play their music in time with the snake's natural movements. Ooh. Oh. I see.
No hands, no feet, no ears. Those creatures are inept as to be practically useless.
Don't take it out on the snakes, Mr. Sholmes. There's one other thing.
You have more?
Snakes use their scales on their bellies to propel themselves. So, I'm not really sure how a snake could manage to climb up a flat bell cord like the ones in these cabins.
And it should try harder.
Please don't be angry with me, Mr. Sholmes. The point is, even if the snake had gone through the ventilator to the next door cabin, it couldn't have come back without help. What I'm trying to say is that there are a number of reasons why it's difficult to imagine the snake could have been part of this. Everyone's in disbelief. We need to step in and help again, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh no, you don't mean. Yes, we need to modify Mr. Sholmes' latest deductions and turn them into great ones they ought to be. Ooh, I had a feeling this was coming. Alright, let's give it a try. Just what I was waiting for, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, right.
So, cast your eyes down at your wrists again.
What? You've done it again. Your handcuffs are gone.
Where did they go? Fear not. I shall see they are restored after our work is done.
I really wish you'd leave them off.
Now, everyone, let us begin. Herlock Sholmes is proud to present his logic and reasoning spectacular.
Okay, the intruder's identity.
Miss Pivola, moments ago you claimed the following. His death is nothing to do with me. The whole thing is nothing to do with me. Yet you cannot deceive yourself. Yes, when you recall these horrid events, your aching heart smarts with pain.
She does have a pained expression on her face. Yeah, that's true. It looks as though Kazuma-sama's death is weighing on her mind heavily.
But you're not sure Mr. Sholmes has quite read her correctly, is that it?
Would there be some other way to interpret her expression then? Let us take a moment and really look closely at Miss Pivola. Oh, Naruhodo, look. It looks like a very painful wound. It looks like a scratch made by some kind of small animal. And fairly recently, too. Well, whatever scratched her doesn't appear to be around here.
Yes!
Yes! Yes. Can you recall these horrid events? That claw scratch smarts with pain.
Indeed. A simple observation reveals that the wound is fresh.
Miss Pivola, when did you in fact receive that scratch? Sometime last night. And I think about the young man who died next door. I feel so sad. And when I'm sad, pain from this wound gets worse.
And it is that very pain that evidences your inextricable link to the victim's death. So we ask, what was the nature of this intruder that stole into the victim's cabin on that perilous night? Why, naturally, it was a friend with which you boarded this vessel, was it not? Ah, I suspected of a telltale glance. Without doubt, your friend is the rivering serpent we see before us.
It seems likely that this scratch mark on the back of Miss Pivola's hand was made by this friend of hers, doesn't it? Except, snakes don't have claws, do they? No, they don't. They don't even have hands or feet on which claws may grow. Well then. If that snake isn't her pet, what is the true identity of this friend of hers? We should follow her gaze, Naruhodo-san. That's where we'll find the answer. Ah. Kitty cat. Look at the photo in the frame. This must be something Miss Brivola brought with her when she ran away from home. Except? Oh, she's exceptionally beautiful, isn't she? Yeah, that's true. But personally, it's a little black creature she's holding that's caught my eye. Maybe we better take a closer look at this. Little kitten.
Yes!
Without doubt, your friend is the little kitten we see before us.
Yes. The scratch on the back of your hand makes that abundantly clear.
Oh no. The whereabouts of this black kitten isn't clear, but what is clear is that you brought the animal with you when you ran away, didn't you? Archie is my best friend. Couldn't leave her behind.
Darker would appear to be this Russian blue. And yet, the fact leaves us in a quandary. The victim's written observations of the night in question tell us of a speckled band. Whereas, regrettably, this specimen's markings do not fit that description in any way. What explanation can we give? What was this sight that fell upon the victim's eyes last night?
No, don't look at me. This has nothing to do with any of this.
Oh, but it does. You have the answer to this quandary even now, hidden right behind your back. Yes, that which you are trying but failing to conceal can only be the snake's slow skin.
Did you see that? He just took something out of her pocket and hid it behind her back. She just left it in her pocket, no one would have even known. Oh yes, toys like this are Mr. Sholmes' specialty. He's ever so cleverly forced her to reveal something. I thought deduction was his specialty, or maybe making me believe it was his play too. Hope you're doing good. Hi, Sinitus. Thanks for dropping by. You can look if you want. I also have something for you. As you subscribed while the stream was off. You can look though. I appreciate it. It's okay, I replayed it. I replayed it. I'm doing very well. How are you? I thought deduction was a specialty, or maybe making me believe that was a ploy too. Anyway, I find it hard to believe that the skin of the snake. In which case, just what is Miss Brivola hiding behind her back? Hold on, what's the question? Good enough, can't complain. Work is just tiring me. Nothing extraordinary, really. Oh, I know the feeling. I know the feeling. But if it's good, it can only get better. It's not the skin.
Yes!
I'll have a short vacation next month. I'll try and get some fresh air in the mountains. Should do me some good. That's always a good shout. Bit of fresh air to clear your mind. Always good to take a break. That's what makes me think it is. When all else fails, and she's least like, what? Are you quite concentrating? You've identified exactly what I said originally. Oh yes, so I have. Sorry? Well, I do understand, as imitable as I am, people do like to try. But you won't make a great detective like that, nor even a great detective's assistant. Ah. Okay, alright, yep. Oh, we can investigate. Well, it is speckled, and it's a band, but what is it? It seems to be a soft and fluffy, long piece of cloth of some sort. And that looks like a handle on one end. I think it might be a cat's toy. This sort of is common in the West, apparently. How is that a toy for cats? Cats like to chase the band around and paw at it. Kittens in particular love that sort of play. You only need to wave it in front of them, and they pounce to catch it. Sounds pretty adorable. There we go, we corrected it.
Yes!
Yes, the thing you are trying but failing to conceal is a cat's toy.
Precisely. The true nature is now of the now infamous speckled band.
Ah,
It was this toy that you dangled through the ventilator. You waved it around, I presume. Naturally, the victim could not fail to notice it.
but why? For what reason?
My dear boy, there can only be one answer to that. After her feline friend disappeared through the ventilator into the neighboring cabin, Miss Pavola attempted to use the speckled cat's toy to incite the creature to return.
Ah,
In summary, the nature of this friend of Miss Pavola, which last night infiltrated the scene of the crime, is a blithesome Russian blue breed of cat by the name of Darka.
it seems so much better now. That is a cat rather than a snake, it's all making sense.
A truly troublesome feline young Darka is proving to be. He must be caged once found. You will forgive us for borrowing the photograph of your pet, Miss Pavola.
It was after I gave her food last night. That's when it happened. She scratched the back of my hand, ran a bell cord. Before I could do anything, she had disappeared through the ventilator. Dorka is so naughty. A beloved kitten.
Moving on, we come to the heart of the matter, the grim demise of the victim. How did this young man lose his life and why? According to the data of which I have been appraised, it would appear there are no visible signs of injury. And in fact, the circumstances of the victim's death can only be explained by a terrible venom.
What Mr. Sholmes says is true. There were no signs of a wound anywhere on Kazuma's body. That's right. But Mr. Sholmes seems unaware that one very important detail. Kazuma wasn't poisoned. Yes, it would seem so. Let's give him the information he's missing now.
Yes!
It can be explained by the postmortem report. In fact, circumstances of the victim's death can only be explained by the post-mortem report.
Ah yes, I knew it was one or the other.
Oh yeah, because they're two very similar things, of course. His neck was...
Indeed, the breaking of the cervical vertebrae is fatal. Only that Goliath would be strong enough to survive that.
Seaman Stroganoff isn't some immortal freak, you know.
The jury is out. Anyway, we have a good authority that the victim's neck was broken.
Now,
if we take that as fact, we can reasonably imagine there remains evidence to affirm the scene of the crime.
oh no, could that be?
Yes, the examination of the deceased body would prove the cause of death conclusively.
Kazuma died because his neck was broken. In other words, he was probably struck by something or someone. Yeah, that's a distinct possibility. As of yet, no weapon has been found, though. Presumably, Darvid didn't suddenly creep up behind Kazuma and deal him the fatal blow. Suppose it's possible that he had a fall and hit the ground awkwardly? Could have been a terrible act of misfortune that he broke his neck completely by accident. Oh yeah, a bad fall could explain it. It's rather hard to believe that Kazuma-sama believe of Kazuma though. He wasn't clumsy, man. Well, we need to fix this deduction somehow. Is there anything from the scene of the crime that could have explained what happened? That's the only thing we don't really know what it is yet. So, probably that.
Yes!
Yes, an examination of the mark on the floor will prove the cause of death conclusively. This particular mark, so prominently visible next to the victim's body, is a deposit of shoe polish. Shoe polish?
Indeed, positively identified by a little analysis device I constructed, which I now carry as a matter of course. Beeswax, tallow, and dye were my results, and undeniable ingredients of shoe polish.
And the colour of the polish is a perfect match to the colour of Mr. Ascoy's laced leather shoes. Looking at this mark, it's not hard to imagine what happened. For some reason, Mr. Ascoy must have caught his foot at the point on the floor and tripped. Holy snow. And, by a dreadful turn of misfortune, caught his neck against something immovable as he fell to the floor, suffering a fatal blow to the spine. The victim's vertebrae shattered, and in that instant, he lost his life. No, that's wrong. It's still wrong. I don't know. I don't know anything about this. Is that really true, Miss Bavola? What about the evidence left at the scene where Mr. Ascoy lost his life?
Yes, in fact, the facts are clear as day to me. You did it all so you could conceal the incriminating evidence. But now your involuntary glances betray the hiding place you chose. That's right. You hid the evidence that links you to the victim's death in that traveling case.
I don't believe it. Cosmo merely tripped over and now he's no more? That can't be true. I refuse to accept it. I know it's hard to believe, but the mark on the floor does seem to suggest that's what happened. But... and if this part of Mr. Sholmes' deduction is right, Miss Bavola was trying to hide some evidence that would prove it. Here in this cabin, somewhere in this direction that she just cast her eyes. Where, I wonder? Let's have a good look around. The answer must be here somewhere. When Miss Bavola hit her friend. That's right, and it wasn't a snake after all. No, it was that little kitten she calls Darker. Not that it's anywhere to be seen now. It seems to have let itself out of its case and gone exploring. I expect it's wrapped itself around someone's head somewhere, trying to make a new friend. Either that or it's scratching their hand to pieces. Point is, where has it gone? It's not that. This is a waste-packed basket. Perhaps these first-class cabins have them, but Miss Bavola only started occupying this pattern late last night. Presumably there's not much rubbish in there yet. Ooh. It's a broken piece of glass, isn't it? Yes, it is. And I feel like we've seen that somewhere before. If it looks familiar, perhaps there's more on your mind simply playing tricks on you. No, it's that.
Yes!
That's right. You hid the evidence that links you to the victim's death in that waste basket. Ugh.
Here we have a fragment of some intricate glass object. It would seem. One has a familiar air, in fact.
Precisely. We found another piece of broken glass on the floor of Mr. Escoy's cabin. And, as you can see, two pieces fit together perfectly. Oh no. So, Miss Pavola, how we consider what this tells us? Why would there be that part of glass? Why would it be that part of this glass object, which was evidently broken at the scene of the victim's death, should be found in the waste paper basket in your cabin?
You're well acquainted with this glass bell, are you not?
It belongs to the cat. I don't know.
I don't know. And that hushed Russian accent of yours won't save you this time, dear girl. Why? Because we have conclusive evidence linking you to the bell in question. What? Take it away, Mr. Naruhodo.
Yes. The evidence linking Miss Pavola and this little glass bell.
Yes!
If you look at this photograph, you can clearly see, hanging from Darga's collar, the very glass bell in question.
The truth has caught up with you, Miss Pavola. The young man who lost his life last night did so after a truly inauspicious fall.
And the cause of death of that fateful slumber? Your absent feline friend, Darka. Ooh. And we're blaming the cat. I couldn't tell anyone. I'm sorry. Death by tripping over a cat. The worst way to die. Elementary, my dear boy. Why don't you tell us now, Miss Pavola? Can you be mad at the cat, though? I don't know, we haven't seen it yet. And given that it's a cat, probably not. No, in this game, they'll make the cat testify. That was exactly what happened last night. It was a little after 1 in the morning. It was so late, but I had the time to feed Daka, so I gave her some. Then, all of a sudden, she scratched me and jumped out of my hands.
People do say that cats become very anxious. And nervous in new environments.
She was so fast. She disappeared through the ventilator before I could stop her.
And that's how you acquired a rather nasty wound on the back of your hand, I take it?
Yes. And I had read the rules on the oil. I know I was not allowed Darka with me.
Yes. Modern science suggests that animals carry infectious disease. It is a precaution, really.
So I listened and listened.
trying to hear if there was some noise in the next cabin. It was very quiet. I was sure if someone was there, he must be sleeping. So at that point, you thought it was safe to try and lure the kitten back again by dangling the end of this toy through the ventilator into the adjoining cabin. Urka always loved this toy, but it didn't work. Nothing worked. I tried using her favorite toy. I tried whistling to her softly, but nothing. It didn't.
So the faint whistling sound Kazuma wrote about in his diary was Miss Pavola trying to retrieve her pet. Cats have a propensity to remain hidden in the shadows when frightened. Yes, so there was nothing else I could do. I just have to wait until she had calmed down. But then... I nearly passed out of shock. I heard her cry out and then it was such a dreadful bang. And afterward, it was totally silent. Kazuma was... From the appearance of this brown mark on the floor, it seems likely that what you heard was the victim stepping on the glass bell and tripping up. The SS Berea is a large vessel, but even she can pitch and roll violently without warning. Mr. Esquire was already off balance as a result of the ship lurching when the kitten got under his feet. A combination of unfortunate factors could have easily caused him to fall over. But what became of the kitten afterwards? In the end, I managed to get her to come back through the ventilator. Yet Docker is nowhere to be seen. I must have forgotten to lock the case. And now she disappeared again. Gracious, that cat is as insufferably restless as I am. Well, he knows something about himself at least. When I woke up this morning, I heard the young man in the cabin next to mine had died. I couldn't bring myself to tell anyone what had happened. I was too scared. I heard that they would send me back. Oh, hold on a minute. What about the snake? You're right. Where is it? If the snake isn't your friend, Miss Pavola, then whose is it? And where did it come from? What on earth is such a dangerous creature doing on board this ship?
Oh, I didn't say. Snake is my friend. His name is Burroshuk.
What? That snake belongs to you?
He escaped from cage when the emergency alarm sounded. I was looking for him. I didn't know this fate will find him here.
Yes, how did that snake get into this cabin? But animals are not permitted on board.
Ah, we are at sea for 1 year. You want to be so long without a close friend, without someone who understands. Why don't you find someone a little more human who understands you better? That, my dear burly fellow. A gargantuan venomous snake. Surely you can appreciate the danger you're putting everyone in. No venom. Peroshook does not have venom. He is harmless. Very long, but very gentle. He is adorable, like Granny. It's venomous. Yes. No, he is hungry, so he is in bad mood. But once I feed him, you will see big smile.
And you feed him what? Milk, I suppose?
Ha! Like they say they milk chickens? Ridiculous. Snakes that drink milk are only in stupid stories. Peroshook eats mouses. Big, fat, round mouses.
Ah, so, is that what the mouse trap in the passageway is? Is that what the mouse trap out in the passageway is for?
Of course. How else could I get my friend's favorite food?
Nothing says top of the food chain like the look in their eyes right now.
It refuses to drink milk. Can't hear a whistle. It can't climb up the bell cord. It's not even venomous. How the deuce did something so inept land starring wrong? It's not my fault. I do not make up stories. My Peroshook has nothing to do with this incident.
So that's what happened. That's the truth behind my best friend's tragic death. But it's not. He didn't trip and die. Miss Pavola, I understand the difficult situation you found yourself in, and I do sympathize. Please remember this. A young man lost his life. You're going to attempt to cover your guilt with lies? Then, no matter what the circumstances, I can't forgive you. But...
What are you talking about, Miss Mikotaba? What lies? Miss Pavola just confessed everything. It was just a series of unfortunate events. An accident.
I'm no great detective like Mr. Sholmes. I don't have a gift for knowing the truth. But even I can see that that was not the truth. Then you agree, Mr. Naruhodo? To be perfectly honest, yes. There's a discrepancy in Miss Pavola's story. I'm sure of it. I just can't quite put my finger on it.
I confess, I was intending to let Scotland Yard deal with any outstanding issues on the matter.
Oh?
I am only present here for a very specific reason. The truth is, you, Mr. Naruhodo, are simply a distraction.
A distraction.
I do hope you've not been finding your shackles too uncomfortable.
Ah, not again. When did he do that?
especially as they're on your wrists as a result of my intervention. I was rather hoping I could resolve matters before we made our next port call.
You were Mr. Sholmes?
Yes, but I overlooked one important detail. The deceased young man was a very close companion of yours. Was he not?
Yes. Cosimo was my closest friend. I owed him my freedom, even. In that case, we must follow its conclusion. No further distraction.
You must uncover the real truth here, Mr. Naruhodo.
Yes. Whatever that might be. The key to this is the discrepancy in Miss Pavola's story, I'm sure. If I can chase that down, maybe the truth will become clear. The truth about how you really died. About how that scene in your cabin really came to be. Alright, I'll see what I can do.
Excellent.
Thank you, Mr. Naruhodo.
So then, shall we begin?
Yes.
What should we ponder first? Is the victim who lost his life in this cabin that was bolted shut from the inside? Was this truly an unfortunate accident? Or was it in fact no accident at all? That is what we must establish in this first instance. We've already established it, haven't we? The man tripped over the kitten that had climbed into his cabin via the ventilator. Tragic, yes, but it was still an accident.
Hold it!
Wait. Let's just take a step back. It doesn't make sense if that's really what happened, does it?
I'm going to have to ask you to spell it out for me, I'm afraid.
Yes, it's starting to take shape now. There's a clear contradiction between the facts and Miss Pavola's story here. The evidence is right there in Cosimo's cabin, it's undeniable. This death couldn't possibly have been a mere accident, like I've been saying for the last 15 minutes. Really?
Let us show our hand, Mr. Naruhodo. Time to present the evidence. The evidence that proves unequivocally that the victim's death was no mere accident.
Yes. Just right there. Truth is clearly recorded in this photographic print. There's no way Mr. Ascori could have left this message on the floor. That script? It's Russian, isn't it?
Indeed it is. The word written means wardrobe. I see what you mean. Most people would leave a dying message in their native language. Japanese in this case.
But maybe he was studying Russian.
It is simple language. He could have picked it up very fast.
That doesn't seem likely. That's actually not the point. It makes no difference whether he knew Russian or not. Sorry. What do you mean? Exactly what I said before. There's no way Mr. Ascori could have left this message on the floor. And that's the reason why. And the reason why is clearly explained here. Damage to the cervical vertebrae resulting in an instant death. Instant death. means after the victim fell to the floor, he couldn't have possibly have written anything. Because he was already dead. That's not the only reason either. There's something else we found in Mr. Escoy's cabin. A remnant of something that possibly couldn't have been there if what Miss Pavola told us was true. So, Digital Santa's noticed that too. Putting a message on the floor aside, there's something else that gives away this truth. Another piece of evidence which proves it was no accident.
Yes!
This piece of broken glass next to the mark on the floor. But that's the glass bell. The kitten had it around its neck. We already know all about that. It was broken in half when the victim tripped over the cat and fell. We already have a satisfactory explanation. Where's the flaw in the logic? Unfortunately, there is a very big flaw. A fatal flaw. What? If that's really what happened, then how did one half of the bell end up back here in this cabin? Ah. Yes. Remember that we found the other half of the glass bell in the waste paper basket? Do you care to explain that, Miss Pavola? Both these pieces of evidence clearly point to the same conclusion. That when Mr. Ascoy died last night in his cabin, there was someone else in the room. And that same person deliberately arranged the scene to disguise the truth, in order to cover up his or her own guilt. Yes, there was someone else present in Mr. Ascoy's.
You are wasting time. Someone else was there? Duh, of course, we know this.
What are you talking about?
Bulkhead was bolted shut from inside. There was no way in or out. Oh, yes. And only other person inside the cabin was young student. The young student died, was you.
Yes!
True. I was in the cabin when it happened.
You were shut inside the cabin wardrobe, to be precise about the details.
But then, I don't know Russian. There's no way I would have been able to leave that message.
Not would have. There's no way you could have left the message. Be precise about the details.
Would you mind?
Forgive me, my dear fellow.
As I was saying, the person in question wrote the word wardrobe in Russian on the floor. In an attempt to incriminate me for the crime, even though I had been asleep in there the entire time. And then, the same person picked up the broken glass bell that had fallen to the floor. For fear of it becoming evidence that it would show how Mr. Ascoy really died. But why?
Why wouldn't this person have taken all the pieces of the glass bell away? Giving half is just going to raise questions.
Well, yes,
It was past 1 o'clock in the early hours of the morning. The cabin would have been quite dark. A single small lamp suspended from the ceiling would barely have cast any light onto the floor there. Little wonder then that the culprit failed to notice a fragment of the tiny item.
you all suspect me, don't you? Demon Stroganoff?
Nina is woman of the sea. She is daughter of strong sailor. 2 years ago, they noticed her dancing skills, and she went away to join the boy company. But before she was dancer on the ship, a member of ship's band. Do not accuse ship's angel of being criminal.
Ah, so that's it.
You say that when dying student died, Nina was there in his cabin. But that is not possible. I give my tooth. Well, this is all most interesting. And why would you give your tooth, pray? How can you be so sure? You are a great detective, you should know. Look through the nice. Cabin bulkhead was bolted shut from inside. Nobody could go into the cabin, not Nina, not anyone. Or you want to tell me that killer can walk through locked doors, nicked? Impossible.
He's right. Unfortunately. But wait, I've read about this in the detective stories. People often tie thread around door latches so they can open and close doors from the outside.
Ed, are you stupid? Those bulkheads are not barn doors. Certainly not. These are watertight doors, as one would expect to find on any modern steamship. Constructed of heavy steel, not with a gap inside, no threads, no needles or magnets could have been used.
No, of course, I thought so. But Mr. No-Ho suggested it earlier, so... Susato! How could you shift it onto me like that? So, Seaman Stroganoff has a valid point. The cabin door couldn't have been bolted shut from the outside. Not necessarily.
What? I put it to you that I could bolt this cabin door without laying a finger on it.
Impressive how you can change your voice pitch. Doesn't it hurt your throat after a while? After a while. After a while, but doing it for 3 hours straight is... It's about the limit, which is nice. But it's nice that this is only about 3 hours. I don't think I can do any more, to be quite honest.
And in this very cabin, we can see the traces of the method I have in mind, having been used before. I don't believe it.
I can't do that, my lung would slap me in my face. It's a years of practice thing. I've been doing this for years, which is how I'm able to change my pitch so quickly and do it for so long. Years of practice, boys. But it can always get better with practice.
Well, Mr. Naruhodo, I believe you know well what I mean, don't you?
A way to shut the bolt, the cabin door from the outside. One way does spring to mind. Yes. You really know what Mr. Sholmes means, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes. And so should you. Because we've seen it happen.
Indeed we have. So would you care to do the honors, Mr. Naruhodo? Point out the telling signs of the method used to slide the cabin door bolt across from the outside.
Bookshelf. Bookshelf.
Yes!
Look at the bookshelf there. See how all the books and things have toppled over? That must have happened when the ship made its emergency stop before.
Yes, that's right. It's a very powerful vessel after all. When the engines are thrown into reverse, a violent jolt goes across the entire ship. Any small objects that aren't fastened down are bound to fall over.
I believe, yes. That's what's known as a force of inertia acting on the objects. Is there nothing Suzuto doesn't know? Or is that her book? That isn't in her book at least? Well, whatever it's called, the same force that pushed these books over on the bookcase also made something else in the cabin move. The bolt in the cabin door. It was very obvious just after the emergency stop that the ship made earlier. We had come into this cabin not long before, and we hadn't bolted the door shut. But then...
Is anyone in there? Shout if you need assistance.
Oh, that sounds like... Inspector Hasagnaga. I thought it was the Russian. Oh yes. That's it. When this ship stopped suddenly, the bolt flew across and locked the door. Yes. It's made of metal, but it's small and light enough to be moved by the ship's sudden changing of speed. Or the force of inertia, if that's what you want to call it.
Are you trying to say that last night after Mr. Ascoy was killed,
Nice.
the SS Burya made another emergency stop?
When I woke up this morning and looked around the cabin, I thought it looked a little odd. All the books on the shelves toppled over, all the ornaments. It was almost as if someone had run their hand across the shelves, deliberately knocking everything over. Oh yeah, I remember that. And I stood them all up again, didn't I? And then we came into this cabin. We were surprised to see all the same thing in here. All the books and everything had toppled over. Just like Mr. Ascoy's cabin. Oh my. Do you have anything to say about that, Miss Pavola?
Are you out of your mind? You say Burya made emergency stop.
It does seem a little far-fetched.
How could that possibly have happened? Unless you're saying the culprit is actually someone from the engine room. Oh. Is it simple enough? It is simple enough. Are you forgetting the button on the passageway door? On the passageway outside. used to trigger the emergency alarm?
Oh, yeah, of course. There was a notice, wasn't there, telling you to only press in times of emergency?
On dark nights, when the fog is dense, the captain cannot afford to rely on the eyes of his lookout alone. Hence the placement of a number of buttons around the vessel to allow any crewman to raise the alarm. The sort of button one is almost compelled to press to satisfy one's curiosity. Wait, it was you. When the button is pressed, two things happen in the interests of safety. The emergency bell rings, and the vessel comes to a complete stop. As indeed it did a little earlier today.
Mr. Sholmes? Surely it wasn't you who...
As I always say, a button but has one purpose in life. To be pressed, whatever the occasion.
That is not something to live by. He sounds almost proud of himself.
How dare you mess with ship? I report you to Captain. You are in much trouble now. Now. I'm sure that we can all wait until later. That does not overlook the fact that we have now learned a valuable lesson. When the vessel makes an emergency stop, the bolts on the cabin doors slide closed. So, what we must now consider...
Yes, it all comes down to one thing now. Last night, after what happened to Mr. Ascoy, did the ship make an emergency stop, or did it not?
You are idiots. Korea is a huge ship with many passengers. If we make emergency stop even in middle of night, there would be chaos everywhere. What are your thoughts, Mr. Navigator?
Well, it's certainly possible that some kind of emergency happened last night. We have evidence to support the idea. Really? What evidence, Mr. Naruhodo?
Fascinating. Do show us, my good man. What evidence promotes the theory that some emergency gripped the vessel last night?
I love voicing Sholmes. I get really into the character. Maybe the fact that this guy didn't write anything from 2 AM onwards.
Yes!
Seaman Stroganoff. It's your duty to patrol the first class area of the ship, isn't that right?
Da, that is correct. Why?
And this ship's log here. This would be where you record your details of your duties?
What are you doing with that? That is mine. You rather carelessly left it atop the little makeshift bureau in the passageway out there. But as responsible passengers, we took it into our care with the mind to return it to you later.
We stole it.
I left it there on purpose. That is where I always put it.
The point is, looking at what you usually record, it's clear that under normal circumstances, you'd write the phrase, nothing to report every 30 minutes. But from 2 o'clock last night until first light this morning, nothing was recorded at all.
Nothing recorded in the log. That is... because nothing happened.
But if nothing happened, wouldn't you normally write nothing to report, wouldn't you?
Indeed so. Which tells us that shortly after 2 a.m., something happened. Something here, on the SS Buria. Something sufficiently significant to make you forget to fill in the ship's login fact.
Are you suggesting the ship really did make an emergency stop in the middle of the night?
Stop talking rubbish.
If I'm perfectly honest, I find it a little hard to believe myself. Oh? Why?
Well, because if something as major as an emergency stop really had happened, surely all of us would have noticed.
That's very true. Thanks to that emergency stop we experienced earlier, we all know what it feels like now. The ship lurched so violently, and the alarm bell was so loud. I can't imagine that anyone would sleep through that, even if it happened in the dead of night. Well, no. That's a good point.
What of the throbbing?
Sorry? What do you mean?
Your head, man. The throbbing of your head since this morning. We have all suffered with it.
Ah. Oh. Yes. I have a headache. You're right.
In fact, I haven't been feeling myself since I woke up today.
Nor have I. My head has been feeling heavy ever since dawn.
Yes, you've all been afflicted, haven't you? Just as I suspected.
He's right. My head has been throbbing today too. And since eating dinner yesterday evening, everything has felt sort of easy. I can't really remember anything that happened after I climbed back inside the wardrobe. Then, the first thing I noticed this morning was the throbbing pain in my head. I had already been dragged out of the wardrobe and had those handcuffs put on me by that point. Why didn't I wake up when all this was happening to me? Because we've been given a knockout pill.
Tell me, Mr. Naruhodo. You boarded this vessel as a stowaway, didn't you?
Oh, well, yeah. Sorry?
The stowaway class of accommodation doesn't usually include meals. What did you survive on?
Well... Kazuma looked after me. He was always happy to share his meals.
So, you enjoyed some of the whole roast chicken dish that was served yesterday evening, I take it?
Yes, in fact, I had all of that. Kazuma wasn't fond of chicken.
Oh, really? So the victim didn't eat any of the chicken after all?
That's right, he didn't touch it. Is that relevant?
My dear fellow, does that not strike you?
Oh, Mr. Sholmes? You mean to say that there was something wrong with that chicken?
I do.
No. Really? True? The meal prepared for the
The meal prepared for the passengers last night had been tampered with. Tampered with the addition of a soporific designed to induce the very deep slumber of those who consume it. A sleeping drug.
Do you mean whoever did this laced every meal with a sleeping drug so no one would notice the ship's emergency stop? Mr. Naruhodo, of course that's not what Mr. Sholmes means. What a far-fetched idea.
Precisely.
Placing everyone's meal of every passenger on board with a sphoric drug would certainly be impossible. Unless, that is, every single member of the crew was a conspirator.
Ooh. Well, Seaman? Hey. I'm sorry to say that any more deception would get you nowhere. If you refuse to talk, there would have to be an inquiry made through the shipping company, of course. And were that to happen, a member of the crew, and the captain himself, would be hauled over the coals for aiding and abetting a renegade.
Please, no more. I will tell everything.
Eh?
I cannot make problems like this for everyone anymore.
These crewmen are your former comrades, I believe.
Yes. So when I decide to run away, I ask them to help.
We all agree to help. Everyone together. We threw away everything. Our theme of Bali, Mother Russia. We want to help our angels. Don't believe it. You are right. We put sleeping drug in chicken last night.
Yes, I remember now. I didn't notice chewing on a lump of something strange and bitter at one point.
Da. We could not make all drug. How should you say? Dissolve.
Talk about heavy seasoning.
At midnight, in the waters near Shanghai, we brought our angel on board. She was helped by Conrad on shore with small fishing. While all the passengers of the SS Burrier slept soundly. Thanks to an almost magical effects of the slumber-inducing potion in the evening meals they had contained. The evening meals had contained. So, if that's what happened, the only people awake on the ship last night were the crew, people who just like chicken, and the newly boarded passenger, Miss Pulova. And that means it would have been possible for you. You could have used the emergency stop trick to lock Kazuma's cabin door. But how does that make sense? Surely every cabin door would have ended up locked if that was the case. And there would have been complete chaos. Oh, I wouldn't say so. What?
Yeah, of course. Just like us, all the other passengers would have eaten their evening meals of chicken in their cabins. After which, they would have been overwhelmed by the tiredness because of the sleeping drug.
Right. And accordingly, all passengers are already in their cabins for the night.
Yes!
The overwhelming majority of passengers would habitually sleep in their cabin doors bolted anyway. And so not one of them would have found it remarkable to find their door locked in the morning. In summary, in order to fasten the bolts of a single cabin door on the ship, the culprit brought the entire vessel to an emergency stop in the early hours of the morning. You have talked a long time and said many things. What is point? The point is what I said earlier. There was somebody else present on the scene when the victim lost his life last night. Someone who left a message in Russian on the floor in an attempt to incriminate another. Someone who tried desperately to hide the broken fragments of glass that would reveal the culprit's identity. And somebody who abused the ship's emergency stop procedure in order to lock the door. All told, a busy night.
But, I don't know about any of this. It's this little girl.
You like to speak with your long English words and explain your clever ideas. But I am sailor, and sailors don't listen long. Boring stories. Don't listen to long boring stories. We don't believe. Sailors like me, we trust only what we see with our eyes. A laudable trait. What? I'm quite of the same disposition, my good man. Observation to me is everything. Mr. Naruhodo.
Oh, yes.
Do you hear it? That a cursory cry of guilt in the wind?
What a cursory cry of guilt. Sorry. Sorry, you've lost me. Proof of involvement, man. I'm losing track.
Proof of involvement, man. But you can't hear such a call with your ears. No, you must hear it with your eyes. Observation is the basis of all deduction. What are you talking about? I believe the time has come. For one final logic and reasoning spectacular to expose the truth.
Here we go again.
So, Mr. Naruhodo, your assistance if you please.
With what exactly, Mr. Sholmes? I have to go and try sleep now. Thanks for the stream. No worries, Sinitus. You have a wonderful night. I hope you have pleasant dreams. Thanks for dropping by. With what exactly, Mr. Sholmes?
With observation, my dear fellow. Just as I said, these two prevaricators.
Observation? If you remember, Mr. Naruhodo, we know that somebody tried to fabricate evidence, don't we? By tampering with the scene of Mr. Escoy's death. What we're looking for is some trace of evidence that these two were there when it happened.
Precisely. You are delightfully quick to grasp my meaning.
Alright, I'll see what I can do for you. So we're looking for a trace of evidence that shows someone else was there last night when Cosma died. Chunky arms? Ooh. Oh, look at this. There's some kind of stain in an unusual place. Yeah, you're right. It looks like ink, if I'm not mistaken. Ink? And look at the color, too. It's clear where this came from. So it's the ink.
Yes!
Seaman Stroganoff, you seem to have quite a large purple stain on your back of your white uniform there.
Yes, I do not know where the dirt comes from. Sir, nothing in particular comes to mind about the stain. What are you trying to say? It would appear the significance of this stain has escaped your attention, Seaman. Allow us to make it plain.
It's a very large purple stain on the back of Seaman Stroganoff's uniform. And I think whatever made it is clear.
Indeed it is. So, Mr. Naruhodo, present the evidence that proves it.
My pleasure. Alright then, the evidence that proves what the stain on the back of Seaman Stroganoff's uniform really is.
Yes!
Yes, it's this photograph and the ink it shows. This is what caused the stain on your uniform.
Ink. A rather unusual color of ink. Purple. Ugh. Ah, the penny drops at last. Now you see the significance. The Russian word on the floor next to the body of the victim was written in purple ink. And the stain on the back of your uniform is ink of exactly the same color.
Wrong character.
If the ink had been dry, it couldn't have possibly stained your uniform in that way. Which means you must have been present in the cabin at the moments immediately after the ink was spilled. Alright, yes, it was me. I did it. Everything. I arranged everything in Dead Student's cabin to make it look like the wardrobe man did it. Then I pressed button to make period to emergency stop and bolt cabin door shut. I did everything so no one would suspect our angel.
Please.
Don't worry, Angel. Let me do talking. It was after 1 in the morning. I was on duty patrolling passageway. Then our angel come to. He was white like shit.
Please. Please. You must help me.
I went with her. The door to cabin number 1 was open. When I look inside, I saw student boy on floor. What happened here?
Please. Please don't tell anyone. Little one. My little furry friend.
Everything that happened in cabin is like Angel told you. The kitten is...
Oh, the kitten escaped through the ventilator into Mr. Square's cabin, and then he tripped over it and broke his neck when he fell to the floor.
Yes, that is right. So after the incident when the cat ran away, Miss Pavola then visited the cabin next to hers, only to find its occupant lying lifeless on the floor. She said she was worried when she heard the sound of something falling on the floor. That is when she went to look. No, Angel? The door was not locked. So she opened to look, and you already know what happened after.
There's just one thing, if you wouldn't mind.
What?
When you went to Mr. Square's cabin, Miss Pavola, was he already dead? Why?
I already told you. When Nina opened our student's cabin.
I was asking Miss Pavola. Well, Miss Pavola?
Duh.
Oh. Yes. That is right. I saw him. It was dark. He was wearing black, but he was on the floor, not moving. I was scared. I understand. And I believe you. So, is that finally it now? Have we discovered the real truth about Kazuma's death at last?
Ah! Something very nearly slipped my mind.
Oh! Mr. Sholmes?
This photograph. Yes, I took it myself, you know. The cause of death was a broken neck. Therefore, the victim died instantly. And the unfortunate incident that precipitated these events, kitten, on which the victim stumbled. However, if those are facts, there is one particular area of this photograph.
Seems somewhat unnatural.
What do you mean, unnatural? What are your thoughts, Mr. Naruhodo?
Oh, well... If Kazuma tripped and fell on some terrible stroke of luck and broke his neck, which part of this photograph seems unnatural? I mean, if he fell and broke his neck, then it's gotta be his head, right? Because we can't justify his hand. They've already said that they wrote the ink. They wrote the thing to pin it on me, so we can't say it's his hand.
Yes!
No. No, I'm completely wrong. I'm completely wrong what the fool I am.
That particular crass detail was orchestrated by the culprit. No, I mean to identify another point.
But isn't the word?
Imagine, if you will, losing your footing yourself. Would you land as the victim has? What of your hands? You look like the sort of fellow who stumbles with regularity. To be an easy task.
Why do I? Kazuma tripped and fell and broke his neck. Which part of this photograph seems unnatural? I'm not sure what it wants from me.
Yes!
Alright, if he really fell due to an unfortunate accident, then his fist just doesn't seem quite right. I'm not sure why. The exact same thought occurred to me. In a fall, one's instinct is to open the palms flat. Yet here we see the victim of his left hand tightly balled in a fist. Almost, you might say, as though he was gripping something.
What do you mean?
Simply that I took the liberty of investigating the victim's fist a short while ago. You did? And what, pray, do you imagine I found there, my dear fellow? Mr. Sholmes, show us, please.
Why, of course, my dear madam. I keep you in suspense. This is what I found.
Oh, a crescent moon with a little gemstone in the middle?
Yes, you're right. Crescent moon. Very pretty.
But what does it tell us?
It tells us nothing.
I'm not so sure. This crescent moon looks familiar somehow. I'm sure I've seen it somewhere before.
Observation, Mr. Naruhodo. That is the key.
What?
The truth of this tantalizingly close. The truth is tantalizingly close.
How did that crescent moon come to be in Kazuma's clenched fist?
This is the final clue. The last piece of the puzzle. Ask yourself, what does this little crescent moon mean? What significance has it? And observe. Find the answer with your own eyes.
It's one of her earrings, by the way.
Yes!
Miss Pavola, I noticed it on your ear. Even though you have a metal earring, the decorative part seems to be missing. The little link holding it on must have broken, I suppose.
Eh? What?
But looking at your other ear, I notice a crescent moon.
I do not believe it. Now, the missing crescent moon was found in the victim's clenched fist. Clearly, there was only one logical conclusion. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Naruhodo?
Yes. Miss Pavola, Mr. Esquire must have grasped that crescent moon and pulled it from your ear. Perhaps just moments before he fell to the ground. In other words, last night, Mr. Esquire's cabin, you witnessed the moment the victim fell with your own eyes. In fact, you were quite literally an arm's length of him. But then the question is, why did Mr. Esquire do that? Why did he pull your earring from your ear and hold it in his clenched fist during his last moments? Oh no.
Angel.
No one can protect you now. Please, Miss Pavola, tell us the truth. Last night, what did you do to Kazuma? Ooh. We completely shattered her. We shattered her reality. When I think about everything that happened yesterday, it was too much. Running away, fishing boat in the middle of the night, trying to climb onto this huge ship, and then when I was at last in his cabin, and I could relax at this horrible long day. Dorka, wait! I couldn't believe it when she disappeared through the ventilator. I tried to call her with a little whistle. I tried waving her favorite toy, but nothing worked. Dorka would not come back.
What are you doing in here this time of night, Inspector? Oh. I'm sorry. I thought it was a friend of mine. The young man from your country. He was very polite and very kind. He helped me find Dorka, and he promised not to tell anyone. But then, when I had my friend in my arms again and I was going to leave the man's cabin. Just a moment. Sorry, but,
Oh, yes.
I'm sure I know your face. I've seen you somewhere before. Ah, of course, you're Nicola Pavola, aren't you? The Russian ballerina. No, I don't know that name. My heart nearly stopped when he said that. He knew who I was. How could a man from a land of Russian faraway east know a Russian ballerina? Yes, I saw your performance in Japan. The beauty of the ballet made a deep impression on me. But, what are you doing on this ship? I'm sure I read the ballet company was performing in Shanghai at the moment. Can't fool him. I have to tell him the truth and hope he doesn't tell anyone. I have no other choice. I see. You're a runaway. Please keep my secret. Don't tell anyone. Give me a moment. I could use another opinion here. He's going to pull the cord. He's going to tell the captain. Did I think I could trust him? And it happened. Everything at once. It was only a second, but it felt like forever. I shouted, and then Darka jumped out of my arms and down to the young man's teeth. And as he turned around to look at I pushed him. I don't even know why. I don't know why I did it. I was so scared. To stop him from telling anyone about me. And that's when you went to fetch help from Seaman Stroganoff, who was on duty just out in the passageway. I heard Nina cry out and he fell on the floor, so I ran to her. He was standing at the cabin door, shaking like a leaf. He looked at me and said,
"Help me, Beth. They find out I live. Please, I have nowhere to go." He decided to help. And that's when you arranged things in Kazuma's cabin to make it look like I did it. That no one would suspect the passenger in the cabin next door.
yes. I went into the cabin and looked around to make sure there was nothing to show Nina was there. Then I found Stowaway in wardrobe, still sleeping.
Right. That's when he found me. So you worked out a plan? To lay the blame on the stowaway?
I closed wardrobe's door and put back strange paper sign. Luckily for me, that's the only reason Suzuto-san started to...
Luckily for me, that's the only reason Suzuto-san started to believe that's when I was innocent.
I dragged young man's body to a good place and used ink that was spilling to write on the floor. I wrote, Vapigo Gudah.
Apologies, I butchered that.
So that the person who found him would look inside the wardrobe and find Stowaway. And tell me, what of the glass bell?
It was by my feet. So I picked it up.
I see.
But it was dark in the cabin. I didn't notice the other half.
An angel went back to her cabin and I finished the job by pressing emergency alarm button in the passage. Yes.
Think I missed someone there?
Accordingly, the SS Burya did indeed come to an emergency halt at a little after 2 a.m. thus enticing the bolt of the cabin doors to slide shut, creating a locked room mystery.
There's still one thing I don't understand, Miss Pavola. What? Well, you said you told Kazuma about the fact that you'd run away from your homeland. That's because you were worried he was going to tell the captain that you pushed him. Isn't that right? Yes. But even if he had pulled the bell cord and called for the captain of the ship, aren't you friends with every member of the crew? Why would that have been a problem? It was what he said first that made me scared. What he said first?
What are you doing here at this time of night, Inspector? I'm sorry. Or you were a friend of mine.
He said an inspector was a friend.
Yes, meaning me, who was supposed to be acting as his bodyguard.
I thought that if police knew about me, they would arrest me. So before he could pull bell cord, May I also stop you a moment, please, Miss Pavola? It's just doesn't seem to make sense. I mean, was Mr. Esquire really gonna pull the bell cord? I don't know. What? What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, I'm not Kazuma, so I can't know for certain, but he was a man of his word. He told you he wasn't gonna give your secret away, then he wouldn't have done it. No, he was walking over it. He was going to pull the cord. He was going to make them send me back.
Well, Mr. Naruhodo, a day's work is not yet done, it seems. There's one more deduction to make.
What? Another deduction? Who was he going for? He was going for me.
Yes, what action was the victim really about to take at that moment? And we determine whether the young man's gaze was direct. First, consider the victim's location within his cabin.
That's easy. I remember every detail of that room. I mean, yes, I spent quite a lot of time in the wardrobe, but still. That cabin has been my home for this entire voyage. So, this is how the cabin looked last night. When Miss Pavola visited Kazuma-sama. Yes, that's exactly how it was. Are you ready then, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, if there's one thing I've learned today, it's that a simple gaze can reveal all manners of truth. And not only that, in order to draw the right conclusion, you can't afford to be out even by a little bit when you're following the gaze to where it lands. So, when he turned away from Miss Pavola, what exactly was Kazuma looking at?
Take that!
Considering everything that had happened last night, certainly it may have looked as though Kazuma was going to ring the bell cord. Yes. However,
What is directly beside the bell cord?
the wardrobe. The wardrobe.
And more importantly, what was inside the wardrobe? The man's greatest friend, sleeping soundly.
Miss Pavola, please, think back very carefully. What were Miss Roscoe's exact words last night?
I could use another opinion here. Yes, but not from a member of the crew. No, Mr. Roscoe intended to consult his close friend on the matter. To see if, between them, they may be able to help in some way. No doubt.
Oh no. Sadly, we can't know the truth for certain now. Too late for that. But I wish you had made sure of what Mr. Square was looking at. Things may have ended very differently if you had. Miss Pavola, I want to thank you for finally admitting the truth. But unfortunately, the truth is, a man lost his life because of what you did, and that will never change. I hope that you'll never forget that. I'm sorry. Really, I'm so sorry. What have I done? And so, at long last, the mystery surrounding the tragic accident on the SS Beria is finally laid to rest. What will happen to Miss Pavola now then?
Once we reach Great Britain, we'll be handed over to the British Police of Scotland Yard.
What about the fact she ran away from Russia? When the Russians tried to replicate her? Apparently, the English detective can speak to the immigration office and sort all that out. Is this Sholmes can do that? So she won't be going back to Russia then?
No, I don't think so. Even if she wanted to return in the future, I doubt she'd be able to. She ran away, and now she's in exile for life.
See.
I'm sorry.
Seeming strong enough.
I wanted to help her Angel, no matter what. But I didn't think about you. How you lost good head. I will go with me now. I will give myself to this.
That's kind of you. In the meantime, thank you for letting me go free again. Husband's death feels like such a waste, but... well, do what you can for Miss Bola, won't you?
Ugh. Well, I'm afraid you'll need to pack now. We're due to arrive in Hong Kong tomorrow. As much as it pains me, I'm going to have to hand you over to the consul to arrange your passage back to Japan.
Yes, I did stow away after all. I don't really expect anything different.
So, you should go back to your cabin now.
It looks like my study tour to Great Britain is over before it even began then. I think think only days ago, Kazuma and I were laughing together about how we tear the streets of London. That seems like a distant memory now. Oh, what's that? Is that someone weeping? Visitor. Naruhodo-san, I didn't know you had returned. Oh, well, I haven't been back in so long. Inspector Hasanaga just told me I should pack, you know, ready to leave the ship tomorrow. That's all. I still can't believe this has happened. I can't believe someone's life can be over like that. It's so sad. He had such grand ideas for his visit to Great Britain. So many dreams. And now, I'm cruelly taken away, just as he has. I thought I could never forgive the people responsible, but now we know the truth. That it was just an accident. A really series of mishaps. It's too much, Naruhodo-san. Too much. Yeah. No. I wish there was something I could say. Inspector! My duty was to see Yaskoi-san safely to Great Britain, but I failed. And caused his two closest friends great pain and suffering as a result. I let everyone down. And I will do anything to make up for my terrible blunder. Nobody blames you, Inspector. And I'm... Prize, Mr. Naruhodo. What is the meaning of this? Oh, a trifling matter. Simply that in my head, I think I should always picture you wearing those shackles. Without them, the balance seems all wrong. It's distracting. Sorry? So I've decided to restore them, for old time's sake, shall we say. You're a stowaway after all. Ha 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 ha. He thinks this is funny. Mr. Sholmes. We do appreciate your assistance. I'd like to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Not at all, not at all. And though it's a little late, may I offer my sincere condolences. The loss of your companion is truly... I hope you'll be able to fulfill some aspirations in his honor. I'm afraid that won't be possible. We shall be disembarking at the next port in Hong Kong. We have to return to Japan to make a full report about everything that has happened. What? Wait a minute. It's just me that has to go back, isn't it? I mean, I was the stowaway. The terms of the study tour were negotiated by the Department of Justice in both Great Britain and Japan. It was to be one lawyer and one assistant. Was to be? In the light of Mr. Yaskoi's unfortunate death, I'm afraid the study tour can no longer go ahead. Oh no. care for me, but poor Suzuto.
My dear fellows, the majority of problems have an extremely simple solution, you know. All you require, one lawyer, and the study tour can continue. Surely.
But there's no one else with the necessary qualifications, Mr. Sholmes. We know no other lawyer.
Qualifications, you say? Any qualification attained in your own country will be of little value in Great Britain.
Oh, but
Anyways, London still promises a good month time. Ample opportunity, I would say. Find yourselves another suitable lawyer.
yes. Miss Suzuto. Yes? Do you think perhaps I might be able to do it?
But you're not a lawyer, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, yes. Are you studying law?
No, I'm not, but
I'm sorry. In that case, I don't think there's even a chance it could work. But as I said, it's still more than a month's time before we reach England's shores. Isn't that right, Mr. Naruhodo?
yes, I have a month in which to study. To learn what I must become a lawyer in Great Britain. Naruhodo.
That's ridiculous. Are you seriously suggesting anyone could learn all of that in just 40 days?
There's only one way to find out. I'll put my fingers to the bone, Inspector. Every single day. Will you let me try? And if by the time we reach Great Britain, I haven't learned enough to be recognized as a lawyer, I'll take whatever punishment is deemed appropriate.
But why put yourself in such a difficult position?
For Kazuma. He said that there was something he had to do in Great Britain, and that he would sacrifice anything to make it happen. He was passionate about it, and I can't let that passion just come to nothing. And anyways, it's for my own benefit. I will become a lawyer. I have to. What do you say, Miss Suzuto? I think it's a wonderful idea.
So, what does our dispatched investigator friend say? Are you serious? One lawyer and one assistant. The numbers are indisputable. No, no, no. It's madness.
Yet fascinating. Wouldn't you agree?
Fascinating. Beauty and rules are the dull routine of existence that we all adore. Give us interest, give us fascination. Speak for yourself. Besides, qualifications are no measure of man. What matters is his character, no? And you've witnessed ample evidence of this man's exemplary character today, with your own eyes. From the early hours of this morning until the very moment right now. Despite contending with the passing of his close companion, and despite the accusings of guilt, this man has shown resourcefulness, intelligence, and above all, courage. Very well. I'll think of a clever way to word my report to the Department of Justice.
Inspector,
After all, I did just make a promise, didn't I? I said I'd do anything to make up for my shortcomings.
oh, thank you, Inspector.
You'll excuse me. I must pay a visit to the captain's quarters, I think. I need to discuss what to do next and how best to make my report.
Are you really prepared to attempt this, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes. I'm going to try. I wonder, what would you consider teaching me? What would I need to know? Everything about being a lawyer. I would be delighted to help you. I am a judicial assistant after all. Thank you. And, Mr. Naruhodo? I'd like you to take charge of this. What? Me? You sure? I'm sure it's what Kazuma-sama would have wanted. Its name is Karma. It's a great sword that's been in the Ascoi clan for generations. Very well. I accept. I'll treasure it always. It seems we'll be working together for some time yet to come. It will be an honor, Mr. Naruhodo. And for the next 40 days, I shan't grant you a single minute of freedom. We shall fill every spare moment with study. Yes, that is exactly what I need. But before we begin, I have an earnest favour to ask of you too. Goodness. What is it? Please throw me to the ground. 3 times. I should never have doubted you. You were Kazuma-sama's closest friend. Of course you would never have done anything to hurt him. That should have been obvious to me from the start. I allowed suspicion to get the better of me. And no matter how upset I was feeling, that was completely unforgivable behaviour. No, you were in shock. You just found out about me stowing away in the cabin. I won't let you make excuses for me. Whatever the circumstance, I should never have thrown you. Not just once, but 5 times. That number keeps creeping up, doesn't it? Please, you must. Just take hold of me and throw me. Do it. Don't even think about it. No. I don't even know how. I've never thrown anyone in my life.
Very wise, Mr. Naruhodo. It isn't a skill one acquires without considerable training.
Oh, Mr. Sholmes.
I observed your throwing technique several times with great interest. I confess, I was most impressed.
And did he see that? I presume that would be a form of Japanese wrestling? Oh, very well, in a way, it's not wrestling, but it's my own interpretation of an ancient jujitsu technique. Apparently it's called a Suzuto takedown. Leaves you with your head swimming, believe me. Oh, how beguiling. I am a practitioner of the combative arts myself, a somewhat accomplished boxer. There he goes again, dancing around. I wonder, you'd be so kind as to instruct me on your technique as your arresting throw. Yes, I'd be honored. Then let us not dally. Demonstrate, my dear madam. Oh, of course. Are you ready, Mr. Narahode? Sorry? Why don't you just throw him? As you can see, you throw from the abdomen.
Oh yes, arresting indeed. And that is what you term the Suzuto takedown.
Actually, no. That was a Suzuto squash. In my groggy state of consciousness, a scene from the evening recently spent with Kazuma flickered into my mind. Haruma. That's right. The prize sword that's been passed down through generations of the Asakoi clan. I can't believe you managed to get permission to bring. I can't believe that you managed to get permission to bring it on board with you. I mean, I think a Tatana and a Subito is more than a little irregular, surely.
The Japanese man's sword is his soul right in this game. I cannot be part of it. Haruma guides me. I truly believe.
So its name compels its wielder to slice evil in two. Not that you would need much compelling.
On that subject, there's something very important that I have to do in Great Britain. And I'll sacrifice anything to make it happen. I'd appreciate you seeing it through with me.
Of course I will. Whatever it is, I'll see you through this. I'll see it through to the end with you.
I knew you wouldn't let me down.
That important thing you had to do. I still don't know what it was. But I'm going to see the place for myself and work it out. In Great Britain's capital, London. Ooh, things are spicing up for next time. End. So we can save the progress. Nice. We can return to the tile screen now. Well, that was case 2. There was no actual attorneying, it was more just dancing around with Detective Holmes until we actually solved the case. Which is strange, I honestly expected a trial. But yeah, that's today's stream. I hope you enjoyed it, and enjoyed me dancing around and parading my voice around like a lunatic. I would raid somebody, but unfortunately nobody's on, which seems to be a recurring theme. So I'm going to end it off now. I want to thank you for joining me, and I wish you a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, and I hope you have pleasant dreams.